Welcome to Myra Fairy Tales.
It was the very last evening of the year, and winter had wrapped the city in its coldest embrace. Snow fell steadily from the dark sky, soft yet relentless, covering rooftops, streets, and doorsteps in a quiet white blanket. The wind howled through narrow lanes, slipping under doors and rattling window panes. Lamps glowed faintly through the snowfall, their light blurred and trembling like distant stars. People hurried home, pulling their coats tighter, eager to escape the biting cold and gather around warm fires to welcome the new year. Amid all this movement and light, a small figure wandered slowly through the streets. She was a little girl, thin and fragile, her feet bare against the frozen ground. Her slippers, once too large for her, had slipped off somewhere in the snow earlier that evening, lost between hurried footsteps and passing carriages. She wore an old, torn dress that offered little protection against the cold, and over her shoulders hung a faded shawl that barely reached her elbows. In her trembling hands, she carried a bundle of matches, her only possession and her only hope for the night. She was afraid to go home. Her father would be angry if she returned without selling even a single match. He was harsh and worn down by poverty, and hunger had made his temper sharp. The tiny room they lived in was scarcely warmer than the street, with broken walls and gaps that let the wind whistle through. There was no mother there anymore, no gentle voice, no warm arms, no soft bread waiting, only cold, darkness, and scolding. So the little girl walked on. She passed shop windows glowing with light and warmth. Inside, families laughed and talked, tables heavy with food. Roasted geese and fresh bread filled the air with delicious smells. Children pressed their faces against the glass, pointing excitedly at gifts and decorations. The little girl stopped more than once, gazing silently through the windows, imagining what it would feel like to sit at such a table, to be warm, to be wanted. But no one noticed her. People brushed past without looking down. Boots crunched in the snow. Carriages rolled by, splashing slush near her feet. Not a single person stopped to buy a match. As the evening grew darker and colder, her fingers became stiff, numb, almost painful. She curled them into her palms, trying to warm them with her breath. Snowflakes settled in her hair, melting slowly against her skin. Her stomach ached with hunger, and her legs felt weak. At last, she found a small corner between two tall houses where the wind was slightly less cruel. She crouched down, hugging her knees to her chest, trying to make herself smaller. The matches lay heavy in her apron. She hesitated, knowing that lighting them meant fewer left to sell, but the cold was unbearable now. Slowly, she struck one match. A tiny flame flickered to life, bright and warm. She cupped her hands around it, her face glowing softly in its light. For a moment, the cold vanished. In the dancing flame, she saw a vision. Before her appeared a large iron stove, warm and welcoming. The fire inside crackled cheerfully, and she could feel its heat against her frozen skin. She stretched her feet toward it, sighing with relief. But the match burned out. The stove vanished, leaving only the cold wall and the dark street. Her hands shook as she struck a second match. This time, she saw a long table covered with a clean white cloth. At its center sat a roasted goose, golden and steaming, surrounded by bowls of vegetables and fresh bread. The goose seemed to move, sliding toward her as if inviting her to eat. Her mouth watered, and her heart fluttered with hope. Then the flame died. The table, the food, the warmth, all disappeared. She struck another match, tears gathering in her eyes. Now she saw a beautiful Christmas tree, taller than any she had ever imagined. Its branches were covered in sparkling ornaments, candles glowing like stars. The light was brighter than anything she had seen in the streets. She lifted her hand as if to touch one of the shining decorations. The match went out. Darkness returned, deeper than before. High above her, she noticed a shooting star streak across the sky. She remembered something her grandmother had once told her. When a star falls, a soul is going to heaven. The thought made her chest ache. Her grandmother, the only person who had truly loved her. With trembling hands and desperate hope, she struck another match. And there she was. Her grandmother appeared in the warm golden light, smiling just as she had in life, her face gentle, her eyes full of kindness, her arms open wide. She looked healthy and strong, untouched by illness or sorrow. "Grandmother," the little girl whispered, her voice breaking, "take me with you. Please don't leave me." Afraid that her grandmother would disappear like the others, she struck match after match, lighting the entire bundle at once. The flames flared brightly, flooding the corner with light and warmth. Her grandmother grew clearer, more real, lifting the little girl into her arms. Together, they rose upward, away from the cold, away from hunger, away from pain. They left behind the dark streets and climbed into a place filled with peace and light, where there was no suffering, no fear, and no loneliness. When morning came, the snow still lay quietly over the city. In the corner between the two houses, people found the little girl sitting peacefully against the wall. Her cheeks were pale, but her lips curved into a gentle smile. In her frozen hands were burned-out matches, their blackened sticks scattered at her feet. Some passers-by shook their heads sadly. "Poor child," they said. "She tried to keep herself warm." But no one knew what beautiful visions she had seen. No one knew the joy she had felt. No one knew that she had not died alone, but had gone away with the one person who had loved her most. And so, while the city celebrated the new year with fireworks and laughter, a quiet lesson remained behind in the snow. That kindness ignored becomes a tragedy, and that warmth is not only found in fire, but in human hearts that choose to care.